We observe not a victory of party, but a celebration of freedom, symbolizing an end as well as a beginning, signifying renewal as well as change, had said one former president of the United States. However, quite tragically, despite being the most educated municipality in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and with a per-student expenditure exceeding any other in the entire state, as well as any other suburban public school district in the National Capital Region, the 13th largest of 134 public school divisions in a state ranked 6th for learning losses in the nation. Students in only the second best public schools in Virginia found only one of 96 students in the class of 2022, from approximately a total of 1,800 students, the equivalent of 1 per 5-man team dispatched by the WHO to China in response to the COVID-19 pandemic that closed schools, were even qualified to gain admission to the alma mater of the president who had boldly asserted the duty, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country." Ask not what you can do for your party, but what you can do for your kid, because I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Sadly, in that graduating class, some 86% of students had been deemed wholly unqualified for admission to the alma mater of the presidential candidate who had hoped to make history and for whom the vast majority of their progressive-minded parents had cast their votes. And one independent candidate for public school board says it is time to take affirmative actions reasonably calculated to alter that paradigm. Speaking neither from false provincial pride nor artful political flattery, one former and much admired former president had expressed a belief that no man about to enter office in this country can ever be unmindful of the contribution this state has made to our national greatness. A statement just as true for the cradle of presidents as his Commonwealth in New England, for its leaders have shaped our destiny long before the great republic was born. Its principles have guided our footsteps in times of crisis as well as in times of calm. Its democratic institutions have served as beacon lights for other nations as well as our sister states. However, while 90% of the school-aged children in the county of Arlington attend public schools, and despite the fact that 93% of children had said they had wanted to go to college, only a third had taken the SAT, dealing themselves out of the game. While even breaking records for college applications in the class of 2022, some 43% had defied the gravity of hitting the floor after falling from a shaft, failing to catch an invitation to matriculate at 91% selective BCU in the fall. Ask not what you can do for your party, but what you can do for your kid, because I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. What Pericles had said to the Athenians had long been true of this Commonwealth in the past. We do not imitate, but we are a model for others. And if 90% of the students attending Major Mike Webb's high school alma mater today in New Jersey arrive every day to homeroom aboard public transportation, not county-funded school buses, coming from as many as 13 of 21 different counties in the state, as well as from boroughs in New York, with 99% continuing on to college, why not the best in outcomes and deliverables for your children in a far more affluent municipality like Arlington? Ask not what you can do for your party, but what you can do for your kid, because I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Major Mike Webb graduated in the top 25 of his senior class, and students behind him Many first-generation college students, sons of immigrants, shopkeepers, bank tellers, office workers, policemen, and firemen, got accepted to Harvard and other Ivy League colleges and military service academies. One today is a retired four-star general. Major Mike Webb, a graduate of the most competitive college in Virginia and a veteran of both special operations and strategic counterintelligence, had brought the first litigation in the entire nation to challenge the arbitrary and capricious closing of public schools at a time when there were less cases of COVID-19 in Virginia than could fit comfortably on a school bus, and not even one reported fatalities anywhere yet in the state. From a disease that in China, the manpower equivalent of 2 military maneuver brigades of epidemiologists had found among 19 times more cases than had yet been reported the entire United States. No incidents where it had even appeared that a child had infected an adult, and had determined that the incidence of COVID-19 amongst children had been only 2.4%, far less than with the flu, where in an epidemic you would normally find between 20 and 40% in infections throughout the entire population, warranting the praise of world public health officials for reopening the schools in China and following the science after only 1 month of closures, 1 month before Arlington Public Schools and other public school districts decided to close their doors for 2 years to in-person instruction. Ask not what you can do for your party, but what you can do for your kid, because I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. We were hit with a virus that was met with silence and spread unchecked. Denials for days, weeks, then months that led to more deaths, more infections, more stress, and more loneliness. Today, just in the state of Virginia alone, the fatality count is so high that you could replace every live resident in Stanton, Virginia, or every child in Arlington Public Schools with the dead. Even the president had assured all Americans and those listening around the world that we know what we need to do to defeat this virus. Tell the truth. Even on active duty, serving in strategic counterintelligence in the U.S. Army, being all that he could be, equipped with a first-class education, Major Mike Webb's raider wrote that Mike told him the truth even when he didn't want to hear it. And while others were running in the other direction from an invisible enemy, as a schoolhouse-trained intelligence analyst who had helped to stand up a NORAD-type capability to interdict and disrupt emerging biological threats, Major Mike Webb went on the offensive to develop a clear picture of the threat, bringing the very first litigation challenges in the nation against the lockdowns, the non-medical grade respiratory protection mandates, and the pioneering biological product countermeasures products mandates that had been developed without prerequisite knowledge of infectious dose and correlates of protection, presenting at least a clear and present danger of autoimmune responses as severe as anaphylactic shock, and rapidly developed not to address a communicable disease under the emergency use authorization, a hazmat threat, but expressly a biological agent presenting a heightened risk of attack against military forces, and terrorist attacks against the domestic industrial base that supports operations for the Department of Defense. You're not going to win if you don't have the right information, according to Secretary of Defense Austin, and rosying up intelligence doesn't help us to be successful in the fight. Proactively taking affirmative actions reasonably calculated, Major Mike Webb seized the initiative in 2021 to direct the CDC to add the very first chimeric viruses to the select list of agents and toxins to keep both SARS-CoV and SARS-CoV-2 out of the hands of terrorists, prohibiting storage and transport of these viruses by known criminals and bad actors. And today, because of a superior education, although neither a doctor or a scientist, Major Mike Webb takes credit alone for adding this provision to the Code of Federal Regulations, his own law, And most recently, he has asked Congress to amend Section 564 of the Food and Drug Cosmetics Act so that this critical step is automatically completed whenever the Emergency Use Authorization and/or Defense Production Act are used to circumvent established procedures under the New Drug Applications and Accelerated New Drug Applications procedures to address an oversight missed by Congress when drafting these related provisions of law before the pandemic. We dare not forget that we are the heirs of that first revolution, said one president, embarking on a journey to explore a new frontier. Let the word go forth from this time and place to friend and foe alike that the torch has been passed on to a new generation of Americans, born in this century, tempered by war, disciplined by hard and bitter peace, proud of our heritage, and unwilling to permit or witness the slow undoing of those human rights to which this nation has always been committed, and to which we are committed today at home and around the world, he said defiantly, not running away. Let every nation know, whether it wishes us well or ill, that we shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe, to assure the survival and the success of liberty. Boldly, that much he pledged, and more, and fortune in battle favors the bold. Let both sides explore what problems unite us instead of belaboring those problems which divide us. Let both sides seek to invoke the wonders of science instead of its terrors. Together, let us explore the stars. Together, let us conquer the deserts. Together, let us eradicate disease, tap the ocean depths, and encourage the arts and commerce. And to do any of that, to be prepared to shoulder that burden and accept that responsibility requires not just passion, not just courage, not even just commitment, but also education. Perhaps the most important function of state and local government, according to the Supreme Court just 70 years ago, in a landmark decision brought to that court by a father on behalf of his daughter. A case not brought by any parent in the entire pandemic, despite 2 years of closed schools. Compulsory school attendance laws and the great expenditures for education, especially here in Virginia, both demonstrate our recognition of the importance of education to our democratic society. And such an opportunity, where the state has undertaken to provide it, is a right which must be made available to all on equal terms. An education that will lead to a future. So let both sides unite to heed in all corners of the earth the command of Isaiah to undo the heavy burdens and let the oppressed go free. Now the trumpet summons us again, not as a call to bear arms, though arms we need, not as a call to battle, though embattled we are, but a call to bear the burden of a long twilight struggle, year in and year out, rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, a struggle against the common enemies of man, tyranny, poverty, disease, war itself, and just simple ignorance and lack of education. Can we forge against these enemies a grand and global alliance, north and south, east and west, that can assure a more fruitful life for all mankind? A more productive life for your child in the future? Will you join in that historic effort? In the long history of the world, President Kennedy thought that only a few generations had been granted the role of defending freedom in its hour of maximum danger. He did not shrink from that responsibility, but he welcomed it. And I do not believe that any of us would exchange places with any other people or any other generation. The energy, the faith, the devotion which we bring to this endeavor will truly light our country and all who serve it, and that glow from that fire can truly light the world. According to General Stanley McChrystal, a product of Arlington Public Schools, when he takes command, he only has to answer two simple questions. What must my organization do and be? And how can I best command to accomplish that mission? Asking not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Command performance and be all that you can be. Rangers leads the way, and that's what leadership looks like. Ask not what you can do for your party, but what you can do for your kid, because I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. This message was approved by Major Mike Webb. Honest. This has been a Film Waves presentation, darling.
And y'all come back now. Yeah.